An old king had no wife, no children, and no relatives. So he didn't have an heir to the throne and decided to find one. He gave all the children in the country a seed and said that whoever grew the most beautiful plant would stay in the castle and become the next king or queen. 1 year later, children came back with gorgeous plants of all different kinds. Only one girl, Jane, returned with nothing and said she couldn't grow the seed. The king announced her his heiress. Can you explain why? The king gave everyone a fake seed that couldn't possibly grow. It meant that everyone except the girl cheated. She was the only honest one that would make a good and fair queen. Steven's just got a new car he's been dreaming about his whole life. He was planning to go for a ride in the evening, but first he had to go to work. He locked the car in the garage and left. When he came back home, he opened the garage and found that his car was missing. He called the police. The officer interrogated 3 of his neighbors. Samantha said when she'd been walking the dog, the car had still been there. Ryan said he'd been away the whole day and hadn't seen anything. Theodore said he had come to Steven's house to ask for some garden tools, but he hadn't been there, so he left. This information was enough for the police officer to arrest the robber. Who was it and how did he figure it out? It was Samantha. She said she'd seen the car had still been there. However, the garage door was closed and she couldn't possibly see it. After Jackson was shipwrecked, he found himself on a deserted island. Luckily, he still had his pills with him. There are 2 blue pills and 2 red ones. He needs to take exactly 1 red pill and 1 blue pill. But Jackson is blind and doesn't know which one is which. There's not a soul around to help him. How can he manage it? Jackson should break each of the 4 pills into half and eat 4 halves of each. This way, he'll exactly eat 1 red and 1 blue one. This takes place 3 of 9 of Greenland, 2 of 7 of Ecuador, and 1 of 5 of Egypt. What is this place? It's Greece. A mother of 4 returned home from work and found all of her daughters busy. Serena was playing chess, Catherine was reading, Hannah was watching cartoons. What was Delaney doing? Delaney was playing chess with Serena. 3 friends, Cole, Haley, and Ben, went on a friendship trip. In Brazil, they decided to go skydiving. This is them right before the jump out of the plane. Which one of them is in danger? Cole. He's wearing a regular backpack instead of the backpack with a parachute. Oops. Adele found her boyfriend, Oliver, poisoned in his room and called the police. The officer asked her to say what happened. Adele said she'd been walking past Oliver's house and noticed that the light was on. She came to the window to see if that was really him in the room. It was cold and there was frost on the window, so she wiped it away to see who was inside. She saw that Oliver was on the floor and called the police. The officer immediately realized she was lying and arrested her. How did he figure it out? Adele said she wiped off the frost from the window to see, but she couldn't possibly do it because frost forms on the inside surface of the window, the one that's in the room. James, a father of 4, went to work. leaving a $50 bill on the kitchen table for his oldest daughter, Quinn, to go shopping. When he got home, there was no food. Quinn said she hadn't been able to go shopping because he hadn't left any money. James asked his other 3 kids to come down and question them. Beverly said she saw the money on the table but didn't touch it. Kenneth said she opened the window and put the money under a book so it wouldn't fly away. Owen said he put the bill inside the book between pages 57 and 58. Can you tell who's lying? Owen is lying. He couldn't put the money between pages 57 and 58 because they're the 2 sides of one page. On the first day of school, a girl named Mia went missing. The police came to school for the interrogation. There were 4 suspects: Mrs. Adams, the director, Mrs. Smith, the girl's math teacher, Mr. Jones, the cleaning man, and Mr. Brown, the school's cook. Mrs. Adams said she'd had a lot of work and spent the whole day in her office, never leaving it. Mrs. Smith said right after the classes, she started to grade midterm tests and never left the classroom too. Mr. Jones said he'd gone home for lunch, but he didn't know who that girl was. Mr. Brown said he had met Mia in the cafeteria, but he had nothing to do with her being missing. The police immediately arrested the culprit. Who took Mia, and how did they figure it out? It was Mrs. Smith, the math teacher. She said she was grading the midterm tests, but it was just the first day of school. Esme got lost in the woods again. This time, she was wandering around for 2 days until she could at least find the witch's house. When they met again, the witch had another game for Esme. She said she had 2 identical cards, but one of them had "free" written on it and the other card had "stay." Esme could pick only one. If she got the one with "free" written on it, she'd come back home. If she picked the one with the word "stay," she'd stay forever. However, this time, the witch didn't want to leave Esme a chance to escape. So, she wrote "stay" on both cards. Esme anticipated that the witch would do it. She managed to win and get back home. How did she do it? She picked a card and burned it, saying it was an accident. The witch had to open the remaining card that said "stay." Since, according to the rules, there were 2 different cards, the witch had to agree that the other one that Esme picked and burned must have been the one that would set her free. Adam wants to send his wife, Brooke, very expensive diamond earrings. The problem is that whatever is sent by post that isn't locked always gets stolen. Both Adam and Brooke have some locks, but the other one doesn't have the key that would open the lock of the other. Still, they managed to make it happen, and Brooke got her earrings. How did they do it? Adam locked the box with earrings and sent it to Brooke. Brooke received the box, put her lock on the box, and sent it back. Adam received the box, took away his lock, and sent it back to his wife. Then Brooke opened her lock with her key and got her earrings. Yeah, I know, they're married and live together, and he could have just handed the earrings to her. But what fun is that? Allison cuts 1 bread loaf into 4 pieces in 12 seconds. How much time does she need to cut the same loaf of bread into 5 pieces? "16 seconds. To make it 4 pieces, you must make 3 cuts. If it takes her 12 seconds to make 3 cuts, it means she makes 1 cut in 4 seconds. If she now wants to cut it into 5 pieces, she needs to make 4 cuts. 4 cuts, 4 seconds each, makes it 16 seconds. Esme got lost in the forest. She was wandering around the whole day. Finally, at sundown, She came to a spooky house where a witch lived. She had nowhere else to go, so she entered the house asking for help. The witch offered to play a game. She would ask one question. If Esme got it right, the witch would take her out of the forest. But if the girl made a mistake, she'd keep her as her maid forever. Esme had no choice but to agree. Here's what the witch said. What is the phrase that makes you happy when you're sad and sad when you're happy? Can you help Esme? The phrase is, "It will be over soon."